Hi there. Welcome back to Supercharge Fridays. 230 weeks of live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. My name is Sonal Behel. Welcome, welcome. If this is your first time, I'm a career strategist and former HR director. And I help people who are going through amazing, scary transitions in their career. I do this through coaching, I do this through courses online, and through content on my YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, as well as my podcast, How I Got Hired. And if that's your jam, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. And if you are not a newbie and you've been around, how's it going? How have you been? I'm happy to join you live. Couple of minutes late. I had a bit of a technical snag, but it's all sorted. So if you're watching me, like many people, I believe, who are watching but not commenting, come on, let this be the day you make a change. Drop in into the comments and say hi. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me how it's going. I know there's always a bit of a delay, a little bit of a lag between pressing live and actually going live. So, if there's anything I can help you with, if there's anything on your mind, career related, this is your happy hour. I've been doing this for 4.5 years, since January 2020. I have not missed a single Friday. I take these Fridays super seriously. This is all free. I don't get paid for it, but it is a joy. It is a joy to be of service. And that is what I'm doing. And I always have my trusty little cup of tea. And I do have my beautiful cup of tea, and we are going to get straight into it. I'm going to take a sip so I set the tone. Mm. It's so good to have the first sip. How is it going? I have a couple of questions I've received today, so I'm going to be getting into those in a minute. So if you have anything that's on your mind, this would be the place. This is how I'd like you to talk about it. My problem is X, my ideal outcome is Y, my question is Z. This format is what my coach uses when we are on her coaching calls every Thursday. She is very proudly ADHD, and she says this helps me to stay focused. And I'm thinking, I don't have to be like ADHD or diagnosed ADHD to have a simple format. It helps everybody. So my problem is X, my ideal outcome is Y, my question is Z or Z if you're in the US, speaking of which, good morning, Kevin in Dallas, Fort Worth. He is an amazing, amazing gentleman, a very good friend of mine on the other side of the pond. And Kevin, I think, holds the world record for being on Supercharged Fridays with me live. I think for, I think, Kevin, 5 times now. I have lost count. I think I need to have you back just because, we can't keep up anymore. Like LinkedIn features, and it's not just Kevin is Mr. LinkedIn. He's also a very nice person, and he's very generous, and he's very helpful. Kevin, you need to write a book. I'm just going to say it. You need to write a book. There's so much that you can talk about. It's not just the LinkedIn stuff that Kevin's good at. Kevin was one of the first guests on my podcast, and he has had an insanely successful corporate career. You've got to listen to him. Go to How I Got Hired and write Kevin D. Turner, and you're going to hear about how he got his job at Sony and how he, back in the day, in the 90s, all the young people here, yeah, we used to write like letters, okay? So he, he wrote to Sony, and he got flown to Tokyo for his internship because of a letter. And there's lots of other stories in there. So you can learn a lot from Kevin D. Turner. Hey, Kevin, you rock. You rock back. So, how is it going? Where are you guys tuning in from? I see Mumbai. I see Dallas. What else is happening? Gurgaon, close to New Delhi, where I am from, where I will be next month. I'll be so, you know, I'll be so happy to be close to family again. Christine is in New York City. All right, fabulous. Thank you for being here. Let us get straight into your questions. I have 2 questions that I told you that I received anonymously, and I'm going to get to them right away. So, this person has asked me something. He wanted to know my views on something happening in India in a bank. I don't know the full details, and I have to be also completely honest. When people say, "I'm going to be honest," what does that even mean? Were you lying before? Were you lying through your teeth? Like, what was going on? When I say I genuinely mean I have not read these questions before. So what you're going to hear is going to be no filter. as always. It's not going to be rehearsed, and I'm not going to be thinking bullet one, bullet two, bullet three. It's not how I work. Not for these things where I'm just sort of showing up. The most I do is sort of wash my face and have my, make my tea and of course have my tea. So the question is, now that you know the context about the bank, it could be in India, it could be in Mexico. It doesn't matter. It could be in Morocco. There's a lot of similarities because people are people, right? So the question is, I think I've kept you in suspense long enough. So there are two questions, and they were so long I had to divide them up. He said there's recurring instances of abuse and workplace harassment. Even in non-leadership roles, it's so crucial to inquire about an employer's approach to these issues. After collecting genuine information while researching, how do I confidently discuss on it with the hiring team as to how such matters are addressed and resolved? Okay. Um, Very juicy question. And um, he goes on to say, you know, code of conduct and staff handbook. And that is, by the way, after the fact, right? It's like after you join, you see these things. And oftentimes they tend to be sort of formalities. And okay, this is the other side. Okay, what strategy? See, I told you I haven't read these before. So this is on the leadership side. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, if you have thoughts on this, if you have thoughts on how do you assess if, is this place going to have workplace harassment? How do I know it? How can I be safe? How can I protect myself and not get inside a company to begin with? Right? That is the question. If you have thoughts on this, please share. Let's crowdsource, right? Wisdom of the crowd. There's lots of information here. There's lots of wisdom here. None of you guys are like newbies who've just started working. A lot of people in my audience have quite a bit of work experience already. How would you address this? Please put it in the chat while I come up with a response. So I think that I think the short answer is you never know for sure. You will never know for sure. Okay. I would be careful here because yes, on one hand, you want to be, you want to be, you want to protect yourself, you want to protect your energy. The last thing you want to do is work in a company where you see, like, maybe you were coming from a place where there was a lot of harassment and you go to a place where there is more harassment. So from the frying pan to the fire, that's not what you want. Nobody wants that. So I totally get that. I will also say just one will be a practical, tactical answer. One will be one perspective. The other perspective I'll share will be more philosophical. I'll start with the philosophical. It's like if you have a hammer, you're going to look for a nail. Do you know what I mean? You know that phrase? So if you look for it, there will be enough problems. I don't think any company is perfect. There's lots of big companies out there who look very, glamorous and beautiful and big tech and some of these fangs, in fact. Yeah. For every company that's successful, that's listed, that has an IPO, and you see their CEO in the news, there will be stories inside. I don't think that any company is perfect. I don't think people are perfect. I don't think you who's watching me right now on your phone or laptop, I don't think you're perfect. And neither am I. It isn't about that. So if you're going to look for those problems, you will find them. So um, for me, it isn't about looking for that. It's more about filtering. And this is where the practical perspective comes in. This is where the filtering part comes in. So there's two ways I'll answer this. The practical part. The first is you want to ask questions that will help you to filter. So every interviewer gives an opportunity to the candidate to ask questions. Do not wither that opportunity away. Do not say, oh, no, I'm good. You think you're saving them time. No, all good. Don't do that. And at the same time, when you ask questions, think about the questions before you ask them. Think about them, practice them, reflect on them, have an intention behind the questions. Because no two questions are created equal. Some questions will be like, yeah, sure, tell me about the culture of the company. I would say that's a low value question. A high value question would be a question that indirectly tells you about the company culture. But you don't say, tell me about the company culture. You will ask, for example, what does a successful person look like here? What are the values that, because when you get the answer, you get to know what are the values that are really respected. What would be the plan for the first 90 days? You're going to find out what is encouraged. And when you find out about what a successful person, oh, people who work day and night, burn the midnight oil on both sides. I get it. Listen, sometimes we got to do it. Okay. Especially when a company's crunched on resources. But if the expectation is, for example, just, the company is, you're at the beck and call, this is just a minor example. There's lots of different ways to go about it. Then that is a orange to red flag for you. And the next thing I will say is everything okay? It's been very quiet. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, you can hear me. The second thing I will say, I'll quickly finish and then I'll check if the comments are okay. It's been suddenly very quiet in the chat, and I'm like, oh, what happened? I had a executive recruiter on Supercharged Fridays. I think it was back in January, and we talked about culture. And he talked about how to ask a company about culture without looking like you are a detective, without turning anybody off, but at the same time, you're getting the information that you're looking for. So if you go back 6 months, just literally just go back to Supercharged Fridays. I don't bring in many guests I don't bring in a lot of guests anymore. He's one of the few guests I had, and I think it was back in January. So you should be able to see it. His name is Arpad Skazal. So that should be helpful as far as this is concerned. What are your thoughts? I'm very curious to know. So please do share about, if you're just joining me, we are talking about workplace harassment and how do you talk about workplace harassment. I don't know if you want to ask them. I'm just making sure I answered the question. If I know a company had a harassment issue, I don't know if I want to ask them point blank about the harassment issue. I think it's a little bit too pointed. But you can ask questions to discern how well do they listen, how well do they address problems. You can say, for example, tell me about what's been the most challenging part about being a leader in this role, in this company. That'll tell you something. They will not be textbook answers, because every individual, every company is different. But I wouldn't say, tell me about this harassment thing that came in the news. What are you guys doing about it? I don't know. It doesn't, yeah, if you want to, you can ask. I'm not sure you'll hear back. And LinkedIn user. Christine, is that you? I would also check on online sites like Glassdoor. That would give me questions. For sure. For sure. I think that I would definitely check online, but I wouldn't rely only on one source like online, because Glassdoor also can have either outdated information. For example, it was about a leader who was a royal pain in the ass, but then he's gone, right? And everybody else is great. So that, unfortunately, that review lives forever, which is a pity. Then it could also be that sometimes one person left in a huff and they were very angry. And that leaves everybody with a rather bitter taste. So that person, when they leave, they magnify their bad experience for everyone else because they are bitter, they are spiteful, and this is their way of getting revenge. So that's why I'm very careful of Glassdoor. And Glassdoor was also in trouble a few months ago because some of those reviews that were supposed to be anonymous were not anonymous anymore. So like, so I'm just sort of careful about that. Yeah, it's you, Christine. How are you doing, Christine? How's it going? So this is how I would do it. I hope that helps. So I'm going to now take a question from the group. Let me know if you have any thoughts on what I just shared. And there's another question about that. Maybe I should answer that because that's also sort of kind of related. And no, let me go with some of the questions that are live. Then we'll come back to that one because you guys have been waiting. And I really, really value your time. And I'm going to make sure that you are not waiting or wasting time. Hey, Ankit, how is it going? How do you negotiate your salary if you don't want to negotiate? You don't want to negotiate based on multiple offers. How do you negotiate a higher salary on your current salary, your current CTC, your current cost, your total package? For sure. This needs a plan, Ankit. This is not something you say, I'm going to negotiate tomorrow, because typically, if you do that, what will happen is your boss is going to be completely blindsided. They're going to be completely surprised. One thing that nobody wants to do, nobody likes, is to be surprised in a company, especially an unpleasant surprise. So you want to prep, you want to prepare the way forward, and you want to have a business case on why you deserve more. What is the extra value that you have created? You can measure it and say also salary, and sometimes, not always, salary and promotion tend to go together. If that's what you're interested in, say, this is the role I'm interested in, this is the value I've added, I'd like to be here. What are your thoughts? So make it a collaborative conversation as opposed to, I want to raise. No, don't look at it only from your point of view. You've got to prepare a business case. You've got to prepare a business case. You've got to use that language and you got to show the proof. Keep your receipts. Anytime someone has praised you for something that said, Ankit, you did a good job, you say, hey, I'd like to put a ring on it. I'm kidding. What that means is, I'd like that documented. I would like that formalized. Can you put a ring on it? You got to document it. Keep your receipts. Keep your receipts. So you're going to need them one day. You have so much proof, it's easier. It's so much easier when you have proof. Rather than nobody's heard of you, nobody knows what good work you do because you're sitting very quietly. That's harder to prove. Not saying it's not, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's a little bit more uphill. And it's so exhausting that you give up before you get there. Hope that helps. Yeah. Hi, Pulkit. I gave my final round for Deloitte yesterday. Ooh, amazing. I feel like I did okay-ish, and I feel I did okay-ish, and I think I will be rejected. Okay, what's the question? When should I follow up? This was yesterday. Okay. When should I follow up? As I cleared 3 other rounds and all other tests, but the final round was a bit off. Should I consider myself rejected? No. Do not consider yourself rejected till you hear back from them. If you don't hear back from them, I would say the last round was yesterday. It doesn't matter if you think it did okay. What matters is why you think that, and what matters is what you take away. Is there anything you could have done differently? It's okay. Every opportunity is a learning opportunity. You've got to keep growing. Okay. Um, I would follow up next week. Give them time. Maybe they have other candidates and they have to come to a decision. And if it's a no, it's a no. But do not reject yourself, because that's not your job. Your job is to show up and be the best you can be. It's their job to reject you. I would say the only time you reject a role is when you feel like it wasn't the right fit for you, your values. That's different. But do not pull your candidature out because you think you didn't do well. You'll be surprised how many times it happens with my clients in my groups where they think they didn't do great, they think they did badly, and they get to the next round. Sometimes we can also be hard on ourselves, right? We can be a little bit too self critical. So, good luck. I hope it goes well. Come back next week on Friday and let us know how you did. We're all cheering you on. If this is the right role for you, it's going to work out. And if it isn't, there'll be something better. Cool. Awesome. Okay, do. What else is happening? Yeah, you're welcome. So, I have another question, which was about culture and finding about companies, particularly toxic companies. So, code of conduct and staff handbook often come across as mere formalities. What strategies can leaders and team guides apply to foster a culture of cooperation, adherence to etiquette, and inclusion in all communications, whether internal or external? It's actually, I don't know, the some of the best people I've worked with. It's not even about, my mentor says this. It's not about the values on the walls. It's the practice in the halls, from the walls to the halls. Okay. And the fish rots in at the it's the fish often rots at the head, which means bad habits, bad practices start at the top leadership level. So the way I think about it is, practice, like live those values rather than show people, right? You don't create exceptions for yourself, you don't create exceptions for like people who are near you at the top level, but you walk the talk. I would say that speaks louder than words in senior leadership. And it's easier said than done. So leaders have to hold themselves at a higher standard. And and I saw an example recently where a CEO, I don't know, is it at Lyft? It wasn't at Uber. I think it was at Lyft, Lyft. Like once or twice a year, he drives around the car and he wants to see what drivers go through, right? Um, so not sort of leading from the ivory tower type of thing, but being there with the people without the ego need to be recognized and appreciated, just sort of understand what people are going through. So when people say servant leadership in the true sense, because it's very easy to sort of preach and claim when we are living very comfortably, but if a leader doesn't know that the team members are working on minimum wage, just as an example, in so many parts of the world, inflation has gone up like crazy, but salary levels are still the same. So what that means is people are actually losing money. Forget saving, they're barely making it. It astounds me that leaders don't know about this. They don't care enough, right? So empathy, you can't teach someone to care. You can't teach someone to care. Either they do or they don't. So I don't know if it's a strategy, but when leadership cares, it just shows up differently. You've seen this. You've worked with good leaders in the past. Am I right? And you've also worked with asshole leaders in the past. Pardon my French. So it's not that hard to be a good human being. And more often than not, to be a good human is actually good business. It just is. Thank God, because it just makes sense. It's directly proportional. When leaders are good to their teams, they pay them well, they listen to them, they respect them. Women are valued. People from any marginalized community is welcomed and valued. They just do well, right? And if they don't do all this and they're doing well, it's not going to last. It's a matter of time. Wait and watch. Yeah, hope that's interesting. Hope that's helpful. Okay, I'm gonna go soon because I have my group who's gonna be waiting for me. I'm gonna take a couple of quick questions. Yeah, I understand. No problem. It happens. You learn. Hi, Sonal. Your videos are very helpful. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have you here. Shall I accept an offer that is offering me less CDC than my current as the role is good? Yeah, I've got this question a few times, SD. It doesn't matter. What do you want? Don't ask me what I want. It's okay. I've taken a step back. I've taken less money. Remember, one step back, two steps forward. Does anybody remember Paula Abdul? Two steps forward, two steps back. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. 1989, 1990, something like that. You take a step back, you sometimes take two steps forward. It's okay. Nobody stays in one place forever. The role is good, good people. The money will come. Money will come. I promise you. Okay? For sure. And at Sunet, is it professional if we ask the region for rejection of applications? Mm-hmm. I don't quite understand here. That's it. Application. It's harder to know what happened. It's easier if you ask that question for interviews, but you can always ask. It doesn't hurt. You can always ask for sure. Hey, I'm in the application process for company A. It's an okay fit to my experience, but not the most motivating position, to be honest. Okay. Now they posted position B, which also fits my profile and is way more interesting. Should I also apply to position B? Yeah, of course. Do whatever is good for you and your career. You don't have to explain, you don't have to apologize, nothing. That's okay. And if somebody asks, you can say, hey, yeah, sure, I think that was a good fit, but this one is an even better fit. You take your chances. You take your chances. You do that. That's what you do. Good for you. I'm glad. Listen to your instincts. They rarely betray us. Hey Bharat, you're welcome. Thank you for engaging. How do you target jobs in Europe with qualifications from an Indian university? Okay, Sagar. I'm gonna log off soon. So, in the interest of time, Sagar, what I'm gonna do is go and watch my YouTube channel. Go and watch this video from my YouTube channel. I think it's from late last year. I don't have that many videos in the last few months, so you should be able to get that. By the way, if you're watching me on YouTube, if you guys are not watching me on YouTube, I have YouTube shorts. I've had like 60, 70 YouTube shorts every single day. They go live at the same time. So if you're, interested in like 1 minute wisdom, 1 minute or less, check that out. I'm curious to hear your feedback. So, Sagar, check that video. It is like 7 or 8 strategies to help you to get a job abroad, whether it's in Europe or anywhere else. I think you'll find that very useful. I get very tactical in it very quickly. So it's not just sort of theory, but very sort of coming from my personal experience. So I hope that helps you. Hey, KBS, could you take up the question that I mentioned? I just want to make sure, KBS, that I didn't miss it. I thought did I miss anything? You're right. I kind of skipped it. I apologize. I didn't realize I did that. It happens sometimes if I'm going a little bit fast. I completed 3 rounds yesterday. They said they were discussing my salary concerns. I'm not sure how I can negotiate now. I'm asking them quite a good salary, but not sure. Doesn't matter. Leave it. Your biggest companion in any negotiation process is going to be silence. And the thing that can hurt you a lot is too much talking. Whether it's a negotiation at home with wife, children, with boss, with a vendor on the street, it doesn't matter. Say a number. Listen, what's done is done. I don't recommend saying a number like out of the blue. If you've seen my salary negotiation videos, I tend to sort of make it more collaborative and say, hey, if they're telling you they're talking about salary, that's a good signal. That means that they're thinking about you in that role. They can visualize you in that role. Don't get nervous. Okay. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Please have some faith. But don't give in to desperate energy. Desperate fear energy, it rarely takes us to good places. Okay. If you've given a number, you've given a number. Now wait. Be quiet. Don't smother them and see what happens. Ogido, you've watched the Shot to Fame video. Do you remember the silence? It's extremely difficult. We want to compensate, we want to explain, we want to over explain. I've done that in the past. It's okay. It's not necessarily, something that helps you. So good luck. Good luck. I hope it goes well. Come back next week and tell us how it goes. Last question, and then I'm going to run. Good versus bad leadership. I recommend the Jan interview with Ajay Banga. Sure, you can check that out. Thank you for the resource. Definitely check that out. Thank you for being here. I hope this has been helpful. If you're watching me on YouTube, give this video a nice little like. I never ask for anything. If you're watching me on LinkedIn, if this helped you, for sure, don't keep things to yourself, right? Don't keep things to yourself. If you catch me and I'm no longer live, and it's the replay, especially on YouTube, don't put questions in the chat, put it in the comments. But best thing to do is join me live, because I make sure I answer every single question while I am live. And what else? Yeah, I'm around. I'm always there, as long as I'm alive. I don't plan to stop anytime soon. So yeah, if you like this, let's stay in touch. I'd love for you to subscribe to my newsletter, be in my little orbit of insiders, Supercharge insiders. It's superchargeyourself.com/newsletter. I share perspectives there that I do not share anywhere else. It's just for my insider peeps. So definitely take advantage. Superchargeyourself.com/newsletter. All right. I shall see you at the same time next Friday. Have a lovely Friday and lovely weekend. Bye for now.